Morning. Um, I'm excited about this series. I've really been getting into it. I forgot how much I love this stuff. We still got trouble going on. I'm not giving up praying. Everybody needs to keep praying. We're gonna, what I hear on these prayer calls over and over again is don't get distracted. Don't be distracted by all this. Don't, I have become so offended by looking at the news and looking at my Instagram and Facebook and stuff where, everybody's so angry. I thought, gosh, what good am I going to be if I'm just angry all the time? And uh, if I'm filling my mind with all the stuff that offended people are saying, I want to know what's going on. We have to. Because we're the watchmen. We have to pray for God's kingdom to come. And that's what's happening. God's kingdom is coming, and the enemy is extremely angry, and it's going to get worse. The prophets are saying it's going to get worse before it gets better. But we can't look at the evil. We have to keep filling our minds with the Word of God and with His plan for the earth and His plan for America. We're going to win. There's too much prayer going up. God is hearing. God is moving. Stay focused. We got to stay focused. It's going to be glorious. This whole thing is being fought. I mean, we're seeing all this demonic activity because God is about to bring the greatest awakening in the history of mankind. I believe we're at the beginning of the end. But there's got to be a harvest come in. There's got to be 1 billion people harvest or whatever, and we've got to train these people. So just get in the Word, pray that the principalities and powers that are trying to take down America and bring in globalism, we have to just say, nope, they're not going to do it. I forbid it as the ecclesia of God, as the church, the legislative body in the earth. We just have to keep over and over again saying, God, here I am. Thank you for your mercy. Your mercy triumphs over judgment. We deserve your judgment, but you are merciful over America. I know you are. And I forbid tyranny. I forbid anarchy. I forbid socialistic Marxist thinking. And I bind it in Jesus' name. And I open the minds of the people who are deceived in our nation right now to receive the truth, to be hungry for God. Those are good prayers. So this is lesson 6 in this series of the behind the scenes, or the battle over the earth. Now I'm going to go over what we've gone over before, because I'm going to get into deeper things today. We've looked at our overarching subject is the problem of the dominion over the earth. We looked at passages where it appears that there are gods, quote, which were thought to have authority over certain places, the gods of the hills, the gods of the plains. Remember from 1 Kings 20. And then we looked at, I'm not going to go there, bunny trail. Also, the scenes from Daniel 10 where the angel says to Daniel, I would have been here sooner, left the day you started praying, but I had to battle against the prince of Persia. And then he mentions the prince of Greece. Okay, so we looked at these instances where we see gods over certain territories. Okay, at least in the ancient's mind, that's what was happening. But then we have the testimony of the angel who says there was a prince over Persia. There was a prince of Greece that he had to fight with. Now, secondly, we've discussed the varying characters that we see around God's throne in biblical scenes. We've seen thousands of angels, the 7 spirits of God. We saw 4 spirits of heaven who go forth from their station before the Lord of all the earth in Zechariah 6. We see in Zechariah 3 Satan before the throne. We see the adversary before the throne. That's what he really is in Hebrew. We've seen the 24 elders in Revelation 5. We've seen 4 living creatures there. We've seen spirits before the throne of God. We saw them mentioned in the story of Micaiah the prophet, who's prophesying to Ahab and Jehoshaphat before they go to battle in 1 Kings 22. So there's spirits around God. We've talked about the sons of God who appear before God in Job 1. All right, now, number 3, we've looked at the true meaning of Satan. Adversary, that's the true meaning. He didn't have a capital letter. There are no capitals in Hebrew or Greek. We just know that he stood among the sons of God in Job 1. Satan, adversary. We saw that even the angel of the Lord stood as Satan before Balaam in Numbers. I forgot where that was, what chapter that was, but we saw that. Satan is simply adversary. And the ancient Hebrew would not have known that Satan, that adversary who inspired David to number Israel, for instance, in 1 Chronicles 21, the ancient Hebrew would not have known that that necessarily was the serpent in Eden, right? Okay. And then fourthly, we began looking at Psalm 82. That was yesterday, in the appearance of these other gods among Elohim, whom he is judging. Now, the other gods, the word there in Hebrew is Elohim. Elohim judges among the Elohim. We didn't say that yesterday, but that's the way it is in Hebrew. Now, I mean in the Hebrew language, Elohim judges among the Elohim. Carolyn, that's blasphemy. You're saying there's other gods around the throne of God? Hang in there with me. I'm going to explain. This is going to give us so much insight. I love this stuff. We have so much more insight when we know these things. So we said this psalm was quoted by Jesus Christ in John 10, where he says, "Why are you saying I'm blaspheming because I call God my Father? I'm blaspheming because I say God is my Father. Haven't you heard? Haven't you read? I said you are all gods. So why then should you be upset if I say I'm the Son of God?" So now I want to bring up that these God, that Christ, when he said, "I am God's." Okay, another part in that psalm says, "Are you not," Psalm 82, "are you not children of the Most High?" Let's read that. "I said you are gods, children of the Most High." That's in verse 6. I'm going to have to get my word here. I can't find it right up there. Oh, here it is. Okay. It's no unusual thing, Jesus is saying, for me to say I'm the Son of God. Now, if we look at these passages logically, to say that one is a child of God, and that's what it says in Psalm 82:6, "You are all children of the Most High." Okay, let's read that. Psalm 82:6. God is judging among the Elohim. Elohim is judging among the Elohim. He says, "I said you are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But you shall die like men, and all fall like one of the princes." So God himself in Psalm 82 is differentiating between men and these gods. He said, "Didn't I say you're all gods and children of the Most High, but you shall die like men?" There's a differentiation there, obviously. So now, if you are children of the Most High, then wouldn't that mean that they could be sons or daughters of the Most High, right? So here we have in Psalm 82 this same concept that was in Job 1, where we see the sons of God appearing before God and Satan inserting himself in the middle of them. So I'm connecting Psalm 82, God talking to gods, Elohim, and then he calls them children of the Most High. You staying with me? So, and he says, "You're gods, you are children of the Most High." So if children, then sons is possible, correct? So Job 1, verse 6, we see the sons of God presented themselves. So those sons of God, we can parallel them to these children of the Most High, which are Elohim in Psalm 82. You got it? Okay. Now we can also connect those to the same phrase, and the phrase in Hebrew is B'nai Elohim, in Genesis 6, where it says the sons of God, the B'nai Elohim, mated with the daughters of men. So you're getting all these connections now. We've got this group of people around the throne, or things around the throne, gods around the throne of God. They're Elohim. He calls them Elohim. Now I want to bring in this one thing about the sons of God and the Son of God and make this differentiation today before I get done. This is from Michael Heiser's book. This PhD with a Semitic language, who's obviously a believer, and he's and I've said before, I don't agree with all his theology, but he's got some truth here that's really, really good. It's really enlightening, because I have wondered about this. The only begotten is referring to Isaac in Hebrews. You know, I memorized Hebrews, and every time I say it, I go, it's in Hebrews 11. Isaac, his only begotten son, of whom it was said, in Isaac your seed shall be called. And I would think, it's not his only begotten son. He bore Ishmael first. So begotten has always puzzled me. Well, in Jesus Christ called the only begotten son. That signifies in English that there was a birth that took place, right? To beget someone means you give birth to someone. And I thought, God didn't give birth to Christ. What is this? Okay, so this is fascinating, and it's so good to know, because the Greek is different than what we've been thinking. And it explains this begotten thing. Okay, he says, how could Jesus be the only divine son when there are others? If there are these sons of God that we're talking about in Psalm 82, Job 1, and Genesis 6. Only begotten is an unfortunately confusing translation, especially to modern ears. Not only does the translation only begotten seem to contradict the obvious statements in the Old Testament about other sons of God, it implies that there was a time when the Son did not exist, Jesus, that he had a beginning, and we know that he didn't. The Trinity has always been. Okay, the Greek word translated by this phrase is monogenes. It doesn't mean only begotten, quote, in some sort of birthing sense. The confusion extends from an old misunderstanding of the root of the Greek word. For years, monogenes was thought to have derived from two Greek terms, monos, which means only. You know, we're familiar with that term. Monolithic, M-O-N-O. It means only. And genao, to beget or bear. Greek scholars later discovered, so they thought originally that this Greek word for that we translate begotten was from mono, geneo. And mono means only, and geneo means begotten, or it has something to do with birth. Yes, it means to beget and bear. So, but Greek scholars later discovered that the second part of the word monogenes does not come from that Greek verb root geneo, but rather from the noun genos, which means class or kind. So the root of monogenes is not monogeneo, but monogenos, which means class or kind. Genos does. The term literally means one of a kind or unique, without connotation of created origin. It doesn't mean something about its origin. It means one of a kind. So consequently, since Jesus is indeed identified with Yahweh and is therefore with Yahweh, unique among the Elohim that serve God. Now we're getting into some stuff that we haven't gone over yet. Don't freak out yet. The term monogenes does not contradict what we know of these sons of God who are in Genesis 6 and Job 1. And there's some other places that we're going to talk about in Deuteronomy. That's where I'm going with all this. So he brings out that Hebrews 11:17, where Isaac is called Abraham's monogenes. If you have known your Old Testament, you know that Isaac was not the only begotten son of Abraham. Abraham had early fathered Ishmael. So the term must mean that Isaac was Abraham's unique son. And he was. Isn't this cool? And so it just, man, I've always wondered about only begotten. God didn't beget Jesus Christ. He didn't physically birth, So anyway, that's that. Isn't that cool? So we'll talk more tomorrow. We're going to go into, we're going to go on further into Psalm 82, and we're going to, this has all got to do with the dominion over the earth and the fight over it. Okay? Love y'all.